Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folani. Well, as a matter of fact, for the past 2 or 3 days, we've been on South Africa. That's where we're going to be again today. But just before I go, some of our viewers from the diaspora have called in to say, I hope a sort of reverse xenophobia is not going on. We've not been able to call in the past few days, so I don't know what's happening. Maybe you guys should just give us a separate line. And the reason we're not able to call is that we're seeing that only Nigerians at home are able to call into the program. So the diasporans have let us know that, can you see what you can do? We want to call in, but apparently you guys are saying only Nigerians at home. Not so. It's the network. And as you have guessed yourself, maybe a lot of you are using the internet when trying to call, and you know how GSM will take precedence over that, at least for my personal WhatsApp account. It tends to be knocked out whenever a GSM call comes in. So maybe that's the kind of thing that's going on. So please stay with us and do try. We've noticed, we've heard, Abby from South Africa in particular called in saying that a lot of people had called him, said, what's going on? We can't reach into Nigeria anymore. Nothing has gone on. We still want your calls, but the network is what it is. So we're talking about South Africa, and that's why a lot of South Africans would have wanted to call in to give their perspectives on the matter. We hope that they can make it today. Well, my guest this morning, Mr. Demola Adegoke, a communications consultant. As always, thank you very much for coming on.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Mr. Chooks Nwoko, publisher and social commentator. Thanks as always, Chooks, for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So we've been talking about South Africa, and it's not going away. In fact, there's been a lot of criticism as to government, not being up and doing from the perspective of, citizens. We always say that one has to be careful about those kind of statements in the sense that you're outside, you don't know what's going on. But there's been activity as a result of the outrage being expressed by Nigerians, and government has done the non-inconsequential thing of recalling its envoy to South Africa. Now that's big. That's big, and it's yesterday we played the South African president saying that what was going on was not on at all, and speaking to his countrymen that we can't have this reputation. We have to make South Africans safe. And, people have said, yeah, we've been hearing these kind of things, but actions are not matching those words. In fact, someone called in and said, did you notice the body language? It's not yet Uhuru as far as he was concerned. I think that was Mr. George from yesterday. Okay, well, now the matter seems to have been escalated. You no doubt heard MTN has announced that until further notice, until things quieten down, it's closing down its facilities.
It's outlets.
Sorry, it's very, very important. It's shops, it's outlets.
Yeah.
Of course, anybody who's with an MTN phone will still be able to use it, but until things get a lot safer, that is one of the precautions that they are taking. As Lai Mohammed, the Minister of Information, first mentioned when he came in here, and as has been mentioned subsequently by Foreign Minister Yama, he said that, look, guys, yes, MTN is South African, but it's a franchise, and it's owned by Nigerians, and employs mostly Nigerians. And if anything untoward were to happen, it stands to reason it's not so much South Africa. We would be hurt. Our own countrymen would be hurt. And without prejudice to the fact that a third of MTN's income is coming from Nigeria. So there's no way Nigeria is not, very, very important in it all. So to kick off with you, Mr. Adegoke, the protests that have been spreading, we, on our own part, it seems, have been, playing our own side of the game nobly. Our police have moved in to disperse any, riot that comes about so that the matters maybe can be sorted, even though that was criticized by some of the agitators, shall we say. But we did the right thing, and it appears that this matter will get some sort of a resolution, or is that too optimistic?
Yes, I think that with the seriousness that, the seeming seriousness that government is now putting into its action on this on this issue, I want to believe that we may have a resolution of the whole issue in sight. We may have it in sight. As to the protest that the xenophobic attacks in South Africa have,
locally.
triggered
Locally.
locally. Well, it's spontaneous. Your brother is somewhere and is being attacked, and then you feel that, what do you do to, express your discontent with what is being with what is being done against your brother or sister.
Except that they are not really organized protests, and mobs can be dangerous.
No. I'm going somewhere.
Because burning in front of buildings and all of those kind of, we can understand the anger.
We can understand the anger, but
it could get out of hand.
But then, it has to be realized, just like it's been said at the official circle by the information minister, that when you do this, you want to hurt South African interests, but at the end of the day, you may end up even hurting, your own people's interests the more, because the workers, even take ShopRite for example, most of the shops and outlets you have, inside ShopRite are owned by.
Exactly the point that is being made. So we're going to return to the point, no doubt.
So now, has our government done the right thing by ensuring that, by providing or at least putting the protesters at bay, bringing in the police? We have done the right thing, because it is the very thing we accused South African government, of not doing.
Exactly.
That they were, that there seems to be that tacit, subtle state support for the attacks.
Yes.
And so we cannot be seen to be doing, our government cannot be seen to be doing the same thing that we accused the South African government of.
Indeed, and we'll probably be returning to this point. Chooks, to hear your voice as well. Following from what Ademola has just said, we mentioned this yesterday. A lot of Nigerians have seen the deputy police minister in South Africa. He is very much a South Africa first kind of a guy, very much like Trump is an America first sort of a guy. And his own body language and his utterances were to the effect of, it's not xenophobic. We don't want to be run over in our own country. He was making those sounds about 80% foreigners, dominating a city. No, you'll never find South Africans doing that. So that's the way. So these are conflicting signals between high officials of government. We've heard the president speak, but then he didn't wipe out what the South Africa deputy police minister said. So there are these issues in there. But government is moving in a right way to respond to these concerns.
I think it was just one of the greater things that just happened to me is listening to you raise the point about that minister, because I saw the video.
Yes.
So it means that the problem is not just xenophobic. It depends on who you're talking to.
It does.
Do you understand?
Yes.
If you speak to somebody else, it will tell you, no, it's not xenophobic, it's economic.
Yes.
You speak to somebody else, it tells you something else. So the question
is, you remember, since you saw the video, he was saying that we fought for this country and took it away from the white minority.
Absolutely.
We're not going to hand it over now to our brothers in the interest of whatever it is.
So what is the name of this problem? Because all these nomenclatures that we are calling it and all that, what is the real problem? Because if you follow the utterance of that police minister,
the deputy police minister.
Yes. The same fears that he expressed was the fears that Hitler expressed towards the Jews. Who were the Jews? The people who were in Germany. And they were just basically growing flowers, growing crops. They were just farmers. Others were trading in small, small items. The only crime they committed, they were successful in everything they were doing. So he got so scared that if you allow this group of people to fear and all the things that has happened. And you know what has happened to Nigerians and foreigners in South Africa?
Never mind the alleged criminality.
Yes.
Never mind the alleged criminality that is being pointed at us.
Let's even add in this postulation of mine, let's add criminality to it. Whatever it is you want to add to the mix of what has happened to our people, to black people, to Africans in South Africa. Add it. And I will say this to you. That having listened to that man speak and listened to all the excuses that have been thrown up, whether it's drug offense by Nigerians, whether it's our attitude, whether it's our loudness,
Whether it's
whether it's marriage, whether
prostitution,
bring all
whatever.
of them to the table. And I tell you what I think, that the problem that we have in South Africa is the same problem we have in Benue, Taraba, that we have in Warri, Aziz, we have in Oshun, Aziz. It's a black man's problem to kill his brother.
Okay, you know, Chooks, that place you got to, we have a
It's a
background.
problem.
We have a background report, you
Yes.
know, on
A black
on-
man has a
on-
problem
on-
with
on
himself,
what this
loving
particular
himself and loving his
crisis
brother.
has cost over the years.
Data reveal that over 130 Nigerians have been killed in 3 years, while 13 out of these were reportedly killed by South African police. The most disturbing of these killings are extrajudicial killings by the operatives of South African Police Service. February the 3rd, xenophobic killing started with a picture of an unknown Nigerian who is in his mid-20s being shared with claims that the South African police killed him. On March the 15th, another unidentified Nigerian was killed in a drive-by shooting in Troy Street, Sunnyside, Pretoria. Eyewitnesses say the attackers were trailing his car and drove beside him when he stopped, shooting him multiple times. On April the 5th, Gozie Makbenyi was stabbed to death at Belleville Stadium parking lot in Cape Town at about 1 p.m. by 3 unidentified colored South African men after an argument and died on the spot. On April the 6th, 2019, 48-year-old Boni Uwoha from Imo State was also stabbed to death at about 11:45 p.m. in Johannesburg. On April the 27th, 34-year-old Nigerian Samuel Ikenaya was killed by some South Africans. His attackers claimed to have thought he kidnapped a 6-year-old girl he was holding. On 13th of June, a Nigerian insurance chief, Obianuju Mdubuisi Chukwu, was killed in a hotel room. She was found dead in a room at Emperor's Palace Hotel after attending a meeting of the African Insurance Organization in the South African commercial capital. Her death sparked outrage both in Nigeria and South Africa, with the Nigerian Senate urging President Muhammadu Buhari to issue a travel alert on South Africa. On June the 14th, Maxwell Ikechukwu Okoye was reportedly killed by South African police officers in the dead of the night. The police invaded his house in Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal province. By morning, the police reported him dead, claiming he was filming when they broke into his house. On July the 20th, a 17-year-old Chinonso Biaju was also killed in Johannesburg. And in August the 7th, one of the latest killings of Nigeria in South Africa was another Nigerian taxi driver, Joseph Ajuna, who was stabbed several times by passengers who went to pick in Inyanga location, Cape Town, South Africa. This comes less than a week when Benjamin Simeon, also a Nigerian taxi driver who hails from Okposi, Ebonyi State, was killed in Johannesburg. And Nigerians continue to demand the intervention of the government to put an end to the killings and safeguard the lives and property of Nigerians in South Africa and other countries.
Okay, so there's a depressing roundup, quite frankly, of what
So-
has
so
happened.
while-
And then finally ending, but this report was first of all put out by TVC News, as you well know.
So if
look at where we are.
yes, so while
Well,
all
now
this,
government has responded.
yes, so government has responded. It came late, but it's okay. But you see, the consequences is what we're dealing with right now of this delayed escalation of this problem. If it had been escalated when we lost the first life, or the second life, or the third life, will not be here. But the point I try to make, is establishing my point, is that whatever reason that they have given to what is going on here, because even the South Africans this morning are confused at the reason why they are doing what they are doing. They say it's economic, they say they are, by nature they are violent, they say Nigerians are criminal, whatever it is. But whether it's in Auckland in the United States, or in Baltimore in Maryland in the United States, or in Taraba, or in Benue and all that, the black man has that penchant, that habit of killing one another for whatever reason. So this thing that is going on here required leadership. Now this leadership is beginning to show signs, but you see, it's not strong enough. So when they say Cyril Ramaphosa spoke, excuse me, where did he speak from? He went to attend a conference organized to protest against harassment of women and children in South Africa. And he stood there passively, spoke about this thing. They have not provided the leadership that will deal with this problem in South Africa. Neither have we until a couple of days ago when our government eventually managed to do something. Why did it take this long time? And this action of our government has made Nigerians vulnerable all over the world, including from our Ghanaian neighbors here.
Sure, it's probably a trite thing to say, but better late than never.
Never.
Yeah.
You know, it's trite, but here we are. At least government is now is getting to the right side of the issue. Whatever the thinking was before that had led to the perception that people had. Even Air Peace, the Nigerian airline, reportedly has offered to evacuate Nigerians that are willing to come home. So it looks like everybody is now involved in this. It's like we're almost getting to the level of enough being enough. You know, would that be fair to say? But what can we do about this situation? What is being done, I can see, and I wish one had the assurance that it's enough. But what do you do to the attitudes? The attitudes of people directly in the line of fire, policemen. The deputy police minister in South Africa asked the rhetorical question: when police is shot at, should they begin to sing patriotic songs or should they return fire?
What they should do.
And I noticed that a policeman beside him, a policeman, or was it a policewoman?
They were nodding.
They were nodding and clapping.
They were applauding.
So you see, there's that attitude coming from a high government minister, and I don't know how educated the actual arms-bearing policemen are on the street and how well trained they are to have restraint. I don't know.
You see, he made allusion to in this whole issue that the role of leadership.
I beg your pardon. One second, please. I won't have to interrupt you. Abdullahi from Ilori, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you for the topic you raised today.
Sure.
See, when somebody was telling us, first of all, our leader have to preach peace to our mind. It doesn't mean whether we are black or brown or white. What we first of all need is peace. Our government, our top officials have to show us peace. They have to tell us what peace means. They have to preach love to the children from the beginning of the day, because it's everybody's part of nature to fight each other. There is no part of African people or black man to kill each other.
Okay.
Every part of the world has its own violent way of life. There is no nature of an African man to kill each other. We have an issue with South African people. We have already showed them a high level of love. We show them how far Nigerian people love and we keep peace in our home and in our country.
I hear you. Thank you very much, Abdullahi. Appreciate your call. You know, this is some of the attitudes we get from Nigeria that it shouldn't be South Africa doing this to us. But which South Africa is doing this to us?
A generation that did not
Thank
know,
you.
did not know what apartheid.
You see, and that is, we cannot, the role of leadership in this whole matter is very, very key. We are talking of a generation of South Africans that does not know, how the nation even got,
exactly.
got to where it is today. But even if that generation does not know, it behoves, the leadership in that country to bring, the role, because the deputy minister was saying we fought for. We fought for this.
Well, they didn't fight alone.
But they did not fight alone. Nigeria had to make itself a frontline state, declared itself a frontline state, having the same status as Mozambique, Angola, Zimbabwe, and other states that Zambia that, were...
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I'm so sorry. Okay. Indeed. Well, okay. Elvis in the UK, good morning. I'm happy diasporans are able to get in. Maybe it was my little appeal at the top of the program. Good morning, Elvis.
Thank you. Good morning.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is an opportunity, and thank you. I have been trying to get in touch and it's just very, very good that we can call from diaspora.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You always have
Um,
been able to. It was just the network. It was a fluke.
I hope we've not lost him.
Yeah. That's good. Is it coming to Xenophobic or whatever name is given to this problem in South Africa? I think if you see the Nigerians as a nation, we like, it doesn't matter if there's a problem in that country, Nigeria. We like, going to other places, trying to do something good. So what I am going to say in this topic is, no matter what we say, you see, the South Africans, I'm sorry to say, they are lazy, per se, right? They are lazy, and they are jealous of what Nigeria is doing. That apart, if you look at what is happening, I have not seen any video that the South Africans has gone to an office or in a hospital where a doctor is working and being dragged out. So I am thinking maybe what they are doing and the area they are doing it is what Nigeria are doing. They are saying Nigeria are involved in all sorts of crimes, all sorts of that. Yes, there's no country that there is no crime. But going to another man's country to perpetrate crimes, I think it's another ballgame. So whatever thing that happens, maybe Nigeria is too slow to react. Maybe the South African government has not reacted in the way they react. And the things we'll be seeing, the videos we'll be seeing, has actually seen that maybe the government of South Africa are in support of what is happening.
Okay, thank you very much. Elvis, thank you very much for calling in.
Yes,
Really
you can
appreciate your call, although we have to dissociate ourselves from some of the comments that you made, South Africans being lazy, South Africans being envious of Nigerians. We scratch that totally. I don't think it's helpful, but it was your prerogative. But thank you very much for calling in nonetheless, but we dissociate ourselves from those kind of comments. Yes, because we see we have to be very, very careful. Every little helps, but at the same time, every little can complicate the issues to severely. And so this is not a matter of those personal issues about South Africans being. It's much deeper than that.
It's much deeper.
So we can't afford to be flippant with this conversation.
Perhaps I'll be allowed to.
Sure.
You see, I was talking about the place of leadership in this whole thing. In fact, it's even much wider than we can, exhaust within the time limit that we have. But you see, the first thing is that the South African, this generation of South Africans does not know, the role played by other African nations, especially Nigeria. Nigeria, even as a university undergraduate, some of us knew the role we played in protests, in public lectures, in seminars and symposia,
and all these truisms, all these things that you're stating that are fact, in fact, too many people lived through it, so they don't need to read it. But you see, we now have people who are bearing arms, official arms, who maybe are not aware. And by the time a high-ranking government official is speaking the way he's speaking, my challenge is look, the deputy police minister is not going to come on the streets and take a gun and maybe shoot
but it's utterances.
Thank you. So is anything being done in that regard? This whole matter about when there are these clashes, look, we hear that it is responsibility of the host country over there to take care of all security for everybody. But if the police are also seeing Nigerians as quote-unquote enemies because of ignorance, the way some hoodlums might be seeing, that indeed might have issues about their unemployment and the seeming affluence and prosperity of Nigerians, that is what led to Elvis's comment. Even if that is the case, how do we
the dislocation
the
dislocation in the South African economy? You must understand the foundation. Their source of income is in gold and all the other mineral resources that they have. That's how Cyril Ramaphosa became a billionaire that he is today, and he's the richest black man in South Africa because for many decades he's played a major role from being a union person to being a union leader, going to university, studying law, and arriving at where he is today. Now, this transferred aggression has removed the minority-rich white people in South Africa from the equation.
Yeah.
Has removed the ANC, who suddenly in the last 25 years had ascended power and have become very rich and left these people unattended to. And you see Nigerians and...
So somebody had to be made the scapegoat.
No, somebody has to be made the scapegoat.
One moment, please, while I bring in Shehu, who has called in from Kaduna. Good morning, Shehu.
So somebody has to...
I'm so sorry, Shehu. See if you can, quickly ring in again. I'll interrupt myself mid-sentence if necessary. I'm so sorry we lost that call.
So when you find our own people who cannot locate the opportunities here, because things that are close to you, you hardly see them, which is not a problem. Our people go outside.
Yes.
And what do? They just go there and do the normal things that they would naturally not do here. They see those opportunities there. And they work. And that's why I gave you the example of the Jews.
You see, they do the things they would normally do
not,
or
not be able to do here.
Things they would not be able to do.
These taxi drivers that they show to us here,
yes,
they probably will not drive taxi nowhere or in our mama or whatever. So they go abroad and go to a major city and they start driving taxis and they're making it. And they open shops. What do our people do? They drive taxis, they open small shops,
yes,
and they buy wares and goods and they put in the shop and they are managing and they're doing this thing. And you accuse them of taking opportunities from you and all. I don't know how that amounts to. And they are, because when these people lose their jobs and all that, and our people are hardworking, our people are talented, instead of we investigating the DNA of our sources and all that, it begins to elicit this envy and jealousy, and they transfer these things. Instead of attacking the white minority and the Chinese and the Pakistanis and Indians, they attack their own brother. That's where why I mentioned to you that it's a problem. Why will you be attacking your own black? Have you questioned the whatever?
Okay, 1 second, please. Ade in the UK, good morning.
Oh, good morning, sir. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Please go ahead.
Sorry, just a little contribution about this incident that is happening in South Africa.
And government's reaction. Government has now reacted. Nigerian government has reacted by recalling its envoy. An airline locally has offered to airlift those who want to come free, and generally everybody is now getting more involved than ever before. Are you still there? Hello?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. Okay, just a little contribution. Is if I may add to what Mr. Adegoke said earlier on. You see, it's a pity that this happened to Nigeria without Nigerian role during the independence as far back as 79. I could remember that then South Africa was to hold the Commonwealth then, and the head of state of Nigeria then was Obasanjo. And Obasanjo, Nigeria boycott Commonwealth, and I think Victoria, Guinea, and one other country then. But the bottom line is that because of the problem, Nigerians face British government's problem when it comes to visa issuing. So then, British government said that since Nigerian is not going there, the British Petroleum came
Mr. Ade, so sorry. Into the present now, I understand and appreciate the recent history you're giving it, but what we have now on ground is, how do the authorities in South Africa get themselves into the place where you don't just begin to fire, shoot Nigerians? And, in short, how do we get to them protecting foreign nationals that include Nigerians? That really is the issue. One killing too many.
Yeah, so on that issue, I think the South African government has a lot to do.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the Nigerian government decision about boycotting the the meeting or whatever is going on there now.
Okay.
That's not enough. Number two, I think the government have already recalled the ambassador to South Africa. But there's still a lot to do.
Indeed, I couldn't agree with you more. There is a heck of a lot more to do, but I've got to let go of you now because I've got to go on a commercial break. So grateful to you for calling in.
During the apartheid regime, Nigerian government issued more than 300 passports to South Africans seeking to travel abroad when South Africans were not welcome in most thriving countries in the world. Nelson Mandela and Thabo Mbeki were part of South Africans who found home in Nigeria at the time. In 1977, Nigerian musician Sonny Okosun wrote the hit song Fire in Soweto in commemoration of the 1976 Soweto uprising against apartheid in South Africa. In 1994, post-apartheid South Africa sought for professionals to migrate to help wake up the economy. By 2011, not less than 24,000 Nigerians were living in South Africa. In 1994 again, President Nelson Mandela sent Archbishop Desmond Tutu and then Deputy President Thabo Mbeki on missions to Nigeria under General Sani Abacha to lobby for the release of political prisoners. Former President Obasanjo and MKO Abiola were part of them. Between 1994 and 1998, rapid migration brought a rise in illegal activities which some Nigerians were involved in. Competition among nationals of both countries for economic reasons heightened already brewing tension. Diplomatic differences did not help matters. For example, in 2012, Nigeria supported John Ping from ECOWAS country of Gabon to remain as AU Commission's chairperson when South Africa was pushing for our Home Affairs Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma for the position. The fallout was that about 125 Nigerians were expelled from traveling to South Africa due to not having valid yellow fever certificates. In retaliation, Nigeria expelled 56 South African business owners. In 2015, the Nigeria Communications Commission fined South Africa's telecom giant $5.2 billion for infractions it committed while operating in Nigeria. While it is said to be guided by regulations, many read diplomatic meanings to it, and it further weakened the already strained relations. The recent attacks on Nigeria in South Africa and reprisals in Nigeria is like the whirlwind that blows no one any good.
There we have it. A lot of people, as I said, are old enough to remember the assistance, especially in the struggle for liberation in South Africa. But then that report, another another TVC News special archive material has been brought out.
That the people that will remember the contribution of Nigeria would be the apartheid regime headed by Peter Botha and his whatever. These people were in the street throwing stones and running away from bullets and all that and all that. And this generation particularly have not been well educated. But what I can tell to you this morning, that is even a major problem, is that even South Africans themselves do quarrel with each other when the term apartheid is mentioned in the media. They believe that apartheid is in their past, that it should not be part of their spoken language today. So, listen, watching this video, it just reminds me of how that if you want to hang a dog, what you can do to that dog is to first give it a bad name. Criminality, we're told soon after the end of apartheid from 1994, Johannesburg became the capital of crime. It was not because of outsiders. It's not because of Nigerians. And the people whose shop are not that are being vandalized are not criminals. These are legitimate business owners. The taxi people that you showed in your video were killed and stabbed to death are not criminals. We're talking about this envy and this behavior towards the black people. There are other nationals. There are Chinese people in South Africa. There are Indians in South Africa. There are people from other continents outside of Africa that are doing business in that place who actually control the major wealth of South Africa. The whites are still in that place. What's the population of white people and what is the proportion of the wealth of South Africa that is in their custody? Why are they not being attacked? This is a black man's problem. This is an African problem. But we have called it different names, crime, xenophobia, whatever you want to call it. But I'm looking at the bigger picture, that there's a problem, because it's not just a South African problem. We've been fighting against each other in this country. Look, yesterday there was a meeting in Abuja by a meeting between the Jukuns and the thieves. What do you call that? And we've been having this problem all around Nigeria. So we need to call it what it is and find leadership as a solution to the problem, whether it's in South Africa or in Nigeria.
Maybe that is where, diplomats are, this is being handled diplomatically. And diplomats, like lawyers sometimes, the way they use words, not the way we use it. When you say we have to call it what it is, what is it? You saw the deputy police minister in South Africa saying that this is not xenophobia. So it depends on who you are.
I agree with him.
But Tunde is on the line. Good morning, Tunde.
Yori, how are you?
Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to the guests there.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, the issue is this issue of South Africa killing Nigerians is happening right now in Tiv lands with the Tiv and Juku. It's happening there. Every human being is nationalistic. The only thing is the South Africans are carrying it a little bit too far. The Tiv is killing the Jukun. Why do you think they are killing each other? Because of issues that are there. So, and we have problems with Igbos, we have problems with Hausa, we have problems with every ethnic group in Nigeria. So the issue is everywhere. It's even in the United States as we speak. So what we do is, if we as Nigerians do well in this country to bring up our economy, to raise the standard of living of the people, then you travel abroad, they will respect you. And then when you are in Rome, you do as the Romans. If you get to South Africa, behave yourself. I traveled to the U.S. several years ago. At that time, it was about late 60s and 70s. Now, Nigerians were talking in slush voices. They're not making a lot of noise. But now, Nigerians in the U.S. make a lot of noise. The Hispanics are making too much noise. And so the people do not like them to do that. So if you are in Rome, do as the Romans. Follow the law, obey all their laws, follow the conventions in their country, and nothing will happen to you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Tunde. Appreciate your call. The point Tunde is making is that Nigerians, in his presentation, oftentimes are
Loud.
calling unfavorable attention to themselves.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you.
I
But the laws should be followed.
I interrupted. I hear you. I'll come to you.
You will always have one or two people going out of line to be involved in infractions, even against the law of any land. It does not matter, their nationality.
Interestingly, he used that well-known form, adage, about when in Rome, you do as the Romans.
Yes.
So if Nigerians land in a place and are not sensitive as
let the law of the land
take care of it.
The law of the land should take care of that.
Okay, so self-help is out.
Yeah, it should be out. It should be out. You see, but it raised a question. Why are other, the blacks are not the only people doing business in South Africa.
But why are Nigerians?
Why black? Why is it Malians? Why is it Ethiopians?
There are other countries, but we are taking the brunt of it.
Yeah, because we have a larger population in the place.
I'm going to answer it this way. You see, the South African mob on the streets know that, if you attack an American, you know the consequences. You attack, a Briton, you know the consequences. So for me, the answer is that perhaps this has lingered this far because of, I'm sorry to say, maybe
Okay.
lackadaisical manner,
Okay.
you know, that we have handled this issue
All right
before
then.
now.
Abe in South Africa, good morning. What do you think of someone else who called in speaking about, when in Rome you should do as Romans do, and that might be helpful? What do you think about that?
Yes, good morning, Akuyori, and good morning to the guests.
Good morning, sir.
Actually, what is actually happening on the ground is more than what you people are seeing from Nigeria. That's the fact. As I'm talking to you now, they are picking people, they are going to the Nigeria community, the Home Affairs in South Africa, they are picking people, whether you have a permit or you don't have a permit, they put you in a vehicle and they drive you away. Why must that be?
Why is that happening? Abe, help us out here. Luckily, you are in Joburg. Abe, you're in Joburg. Yes. What is the official reason given for that behavior?
Sir, this is happening because of the hatred we have for each other as blacks. That's the fact. And this issue, sir, started in 2008. There's a fundamental problem that the two countries supposed to have addressed. In 2008, they didn't address it. Sir, in 2012, there was a middle program in South Africa, in East Hotel in Santon. They brought our former president, Obasanjo, and Thabo Mbeki. I stood up in that forum that day, and I said, there's a problem that the two leaders need to face. The problem is that the present South African people, they don't know the kind of assistance Nigeria rendered to them in the past during apartheid. That they need to come up with a program to show both countries and see what we did. That day, they asked me to shut up and sit down. I sat down. But I knew that thing will generate more problems. Because these people, they didn't even believe all these stories you are saying that during apartheid, we spent $61 billion to assist them. They don't believe in it. Because the generation that we did that for, both of them are not available to testify to the problem. So the people who are on ground, supposed to be the one to tell what the Nigerians did, and I don't know why South Africa really hate Nigerian people. I really still don't understand why.
So Abe, because you're in South Africa, you can, for the moment be like our eyes. So this whole matter about Nigerians behaving in a way that doesn't line up with when in Rome do as Romans do, that's rubbish, right? That's exaggeration. Or do Nigerians, sometimes do things totally unseen or unheard of before in South Africa?
Sir, my belief is that as a human being, we are bound to do nonsense. But there is a law on the ground. Anybody who committed any sin or anything, the law should take that person, prosecute the person. They cannot say because one Nigerian does rubbish, all Nigerians are the same. I really don't subscribe to that.
All right. Thank you very much, Abe. Appreciate your calling in. Appreciate it. It's been quite valuable.
So the question you should have asked Abe is this.
Oh, I see. Well, you can go ahead and ask.
Okay. Okay, let me ask you. Why will your Aburo or Ebwe just hate you? Why will Mr. Adegoke, who is sitting down here, who is from a family, just inside that family where you're from, you suddenly have a problem with one member and you don't know why this hatred and this envy and this strife is going on between two of you?
Well, that's where the word xenophobia comes from.
Now,
right?
the questions,
that's
the answers might never come, but
in.
our viewers know that all of us come from homes, from families. We come from communities. And these things, in a small microcosms level, we all suffer it. You have people, for your visibility on TV, it just attracts envy, strife, and all kinds of things to you. For a little ability to drive your small car or ability to eat, it's a problem to some people. So if he's asking why, it's because we're a great nation. And black people tend to behave like that.
Because we also have Nigerians in just about every country, but let's just take the UK, you take Canada.
Look at the Ghana here.
Take Canada, take America.
A ticking bomb is here
these
in
things
Ghana
don't happen there.
In Ghana, in Liberia.
Oh dear.
In
who's on the
Liberia.
line? Who's on the line?
Hello, yeah, it's me.
Hello,
Faith.
good morning, Kate.
Good morning.
Hello,
good morning.
Faith. Good morning. Go ahead, please.
I want to contribute to the program.
Sure. We'd like you to.
I really love the topic. And what I want to say is that the only solution now, because South Africans have turned themselves to an animal, beast. And when people are pissed, you can't talk to them.
Faith, you know, thank you. We have to be circumspect with our language.
Okay.
Our fellow African brothers are not animals.
Okay.
Okay.
I only used that language because killing a kind of person like you, a black like you, I don't know how it feels in you. So the solution I know is that for the fact that they don't have a heart anymore to accommodate us, and it's not even us alone, the whole blacks, just because a Tanzania guy killed one of their taxi drivers, and this has been happening for a long time, that the country, even our country here, we haven't addressed it. I think this is the first time that we are addressing it.
Okay.
So the only solution I'm saying is that they should bring them back home. So if there will be any adjustment or any solution or anything to solve it, it will be addressed after our people are brought back home. They should be saved first. Because those people that are doing these things, there is nothing you can tell them. They wouldn't listen to you for now because they have gone the other side. So what am I trying to say is that I watched the video and a guy was complaining that the reason why they are killing especially Nigerians, that their targets are Nigerians. But other countries got involved due to that they are also blacks. That the reason they are killing Nigeria is just because of Nigerian, their women don't marry them anymore. They love Nigerian men. Because Nigerian men are hardworking, they give them love, they pamper them, they care for them and everything. So their women don't want to marry them because them they don't work. So for that reason, a lot of them, they can't get married to their ladies anymore. And because of the hard working of Nigerian guys could go, or Nigerian women could go extra length to make money.
Okay.
They address the issue of drugs, that Nigerians sell drugs. Fine. If Nigeria sells drugs, is it you people patronizing them? They are not forcing you to get it. Nigeria here, a lot of people here don't take drugs. You can't sell drugs on the street. You will not sell. Because we have self-control and caution that we don't want to take it because when we take it, it spoils our life.
Okay.
Now, one Nigerian sells drugs and you kill millions for it. It is not being done. Let the government get that one that is selling that drug, deal with him or send him back to Nigeria.
Okay, Faith,
from entering
appreciate
the
your
country.
call. Really appreciate your call. Thank you very much for calling in. An interesting perspective. I mean, Nigerians are lovers, they're not haters. Nigerians are lovers, they're not haters. But
you see what I was telling you, that the reasons, I mean, it says xenophobic, it's a love affair, it's drugs. So whatever.
But the most important thing that she said, which is you've also said from here, is that, look, let the law take its course.
The law has to take its course.
No matter what happens, no matter how, quote-unquote, problematic you think Nigerians' behavior is, there are laws, right? Am I getting that right?
There are laws.
No matter how problematic Nigeria is by way of its behavior.
That one my guy that was killed last, that I saw, that was kind of on a live television, 10 o'clock news. He's from our mama. He was picked from town, taken to his house, in the presence of his South African wife and the presence of his mother and 2 children. He was killed. He told them, I know you are going to go and kill me, but kill me here. And they killed him there, right in his house.
So when, quite frankly, it's not an easy situation to deal with. Because
it is very easy to deal with when they kill the first person or the second person or the third person. The guy that called from South Africa said he started in 2008. That's about 13 years now. If you had leadership, if you had strong leadership, get upset, get angry and do something about it. Escalate it. By now we would have.
Faith was saying, let Nigerians evacuate from South Africa en masse. Let them come back home. Then we sort it out. Then when the eyes have cleared, then we'll now look at it and say, okay, we shall come back now that you've promised to behave, within the law, right? Faith said that. What do you think about that? Let Nigerians just come back. And then let's see what will happen to South Africa. And then when their eyes have cleared, then we'll consider going back. It's not going to happen like that.
That is the dilemma we have found ourselves as a nation. You see, because why are people not respecting us?
Why are people not respecting?
Our nationals outside our shores.
Okay.
And it is because they know that probably, our people there will not willingly want to come back home because of the socioeconomic, challenges that we are having.
1 second. Let me squeeze in
home.
Shola. Let me squeeze in Shola in the UK. Good morning, Shola. You're our last caller today.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Yori.
Good morning.
And good morning to your guest there.
Sure.
Good morning.
Yes, the problem is the South Africans, you see, they are just, they have that, I don't know whether it's in their inbuilt.
No,
They hate,
no insults,
they
please.
hate their fellow Africans.
No,
You see?
okay. No
And then
insults.
this is what we have been saying from day one about our leadership. You see, that guy that just called in from South Africa, Abe, was saying that they are arresting some Nigerians or, Africans. What is the reasons for the arrest? Where are they taking them to? Nobody knows. So this is something that our government needs to look into.
Okay.
And now, when we are
especially
talking about-
you are in the UK. You haven't had this kind of experience. You're a Nigerian. There are many, many Nigerians in the UK. No problem.
No, I've been.
No
I've
problem.
No problem. Okunyori. I've been in the UK since 1988.
And no problem.
I've never experienced such a thing. There are South Africans working in the UK. There's no problem at all, and there are Nigerians working here. I can understand there are some 1 or 2 bad eggs. That doesn't mean that yes, because we have a lot of Africans in the nursing profession in the UK,
Yeah.
and a British man will not be jealous of that and
Okay.
saying they are taking their jobs.
Okay.
Instead, they train themselves. Go for training, train yourself, get training, get qualification, and do a proper job, and be happy with yourself. But when there is hatred, you see, I listened to the comment made by one of the South African, I don't know his position, on your sister station, that's on TVC. The way that man spoke, I was really annoyed. I told my wife, we both listening, how can somebody talk like this and say that some people are here, they've come to taking up their jobs, soon now they will become president or whatever in South Africa.
Okay, that's the deputy. That's the deputy police minister in South Africa.
Exactly, exactly. How can somebody be? Well, if somebody in that position is reasoning like that, tell me how the others will reason.
Which is the
So
problem?
Which
Exactly is the problem that we're confronting.
Is
I want to thank you very much for calling in.
Now,
I've got to go
please,
now. I'm sorry we ran out
can I
of
just
time.
make a
But
comment?
thank you
Can I
very much
just
for calling
conclude?
in. Really appreciate your call, but time is a dictator, government has acted now. The next, and that's why you were saying a heck of a lot more is going to need to be done. All the diplomatic channels are going to have to be open.
Address, existential and human development challenges that we have here that are making, our people
like to travel. Our people like to
thank
travel.
you very much, gentlemen.
Our people like to travel.
Chuks Nwoko, publisher and social commentator, thank you very, very much.
Thank you for
and thank you also, Ademola Adegoke, communications consultant. And we just hope that all of this will be resolved now that every efforts are in high gear. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.